And is this something that you think we're going to see more often?
No question. When it comes to like the losses in Web3, my personal opinion is that it tracks like the market, the frequency in which these incidences happen also increases with the market as well. But I do think we're going to see more like projects that are built to seem legitimate that are then exit scams. You'll then see wallet drainer groups become more sophisticated with their techniques to bypass certain, security products to scam users. I do think that's going to be a problem.
All right, welcome back to the second part of my interview with Joe, blockchain investigator. On the first part, we learned about MetaMask and some of the ways to protect ourselves. In this episode, we're going to learn more about some of the crypto scams, like using actors to portray team members. It's pretty scary out there. Please stay vigilant. And if you're getting value out of these episodes, please like and subscribe to the channel. It'll help support the show and the guests. And enjoy the second part of my interview with Joe.
So, Joe, you mentioned phishing attacks. You mentioned actors that are being used as team members. Anything else that comes to mind when it comes to potential scams, or maybe perhaps like a specific investigation that you've looked into that you thought was very interesting?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess going back to the the one I kind of briefly mentioned, where like you had these actors kind of pushing fake tokens. What we were kind of able to do is we found this fake linear token, right? And it was we were able to tie it to this particular Telegram group. And looking at Telegram posts, they were just kind of for quite literally 10 months, just talking about random trading activities. And they're posting videos of themselves just like, oh, Bitcoin is going to moon, whatever. Like nothing crazy, but certainly not a scam at that point. And then they start introducing these like fake tokens. And they were very good at kind of manipulating people. So they would say, oh, this is a Circle token, but Circle doesn't have a token. Let me check this out for you. And then they would like go away, post, go quiet for a week, and then come back and say, oh no, this is legitimate. Look, these prominent figures have just brought in. And then they'd show screenshots of like Etherscan. And what they're showing is spoofed transactions. So with Etherscan, you can, or I guess just like block explorers, you can kind of like manipulate what it's like showing you. So you can see perhaps like a token being transferred from one wallet to another. But what has actually happened is another wallet has initiated that transaction. So whilst it looks like someone has brought in or transferred or whatever, that isn't the case at all. You often see this with like huge incidences when people are like trying to like promote their like meme coin or whatever. Just like, it happens. So they're doing this like really like long game of like trying to get people to like buy into a token. And it was quite evident that they seemed to be targeting new people to the space. So what they would do was they would create these Telegraph articles. So it's basically a platform through Telegram where you can like create articles and stuff. And I'll kind of go through step by step on how to purchase this token. And they'll do this like 10 times. And overall, I think $3.4 million was stolen. And what we were able to do was take the activities from this Telegram group, kind of see what else they're posting, see if they make any mistakes, and they did. So what they'll do is they'll post these Telegraph articles and then update it later. You click on it, and there's like a new Telegram group in there. So we were able to just kind of like tie all these different trading platforms together, see how they're kind of like what they're promoting, and we tied about 10 tokens. Found a load of their like personal wallets, and able to like kind of like report them to exchanges that they've interacted with. And it can quickly turn into a bit of a like difficult to track these kind of things. Like it kind of gets overwhelmed with the amount of information you're getting. But you're then able to like see what's involved, how much has been lost, the tactics that they've used, the specific methods in which their scam contracts operate, and like from there expand your search outwards and see what else is having like similar patterns, So that was a really interesting one for me to work on, for sure.
And is this something that you think that we're going to see more often?
Oh, like I think there's no question. I mean, when it comes to like the losses in Web3, my personal opinion is that it tracks like the market. So, and I think the frequency in which these incidences happen also increases with the market as well. That is just my kind of opinion. If there's data out there to disprove that, then okay, fine. But I do think we're going to see more kind of like projects that are built, to seem legitimate that are then exit scams. You'll then see wallet drainer groups become more, I guess, sophisticated with their techniques to bypass certain, security products to scam users. Yeah, I do think that's going to be a problem. And then there's also with this return of the bull market that we haven't quite talked about is when you have these new projects that have like an idea that they really want to like kind of like push, there's probably like an urgency to put a team together, right? And then at that point, you're actually at risk of onboarding someone to your team in a critical role who is an insider threat. We know, for example, DPRK do this. So they have, these like agents in deep cover who are pretending to be these like legitimate programmers, and they are like programmers. They'll give you a product, but in the background, they're working a way to introduce a vulnerability into your projects, right? And then they'll exploit that, and it can be devastating. These guys could create conditions where a key wallet is then compromised, or they could create conditions in a liquidity pool that can then lead to precision issues. So, for example, after the 100 Finance attack, it was discovered that if you have a liquidity pool that has very low liquidity, you can then trick this like rounding issue and like drain an entire project. Really high level explanation of what that is. But yeah, look, we do know that this is an issue, and kind of like working with other sleuths, we have been able to like determine that this worker is probably DPRK related, and then you can see the other accounts that they're involved. They have and other projects that they work for, and these are then projects that are at risk. So that's also going to be a problem going forward as new projects try and expand their team quickly with urgency and also come online with urgency.
Joe, last question for you. There's a lot of talk in the media about how crypto, it's only for crooks, it's all for scammers, whereas in the traditional world, I guess it doesn't exist. But I would like to hear from you, since you work on this firsthand, how much criminal activity are we seeing versus what the media wants us to believe?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And in terms of like, like what I'd say with, the Web3 space, there's no like hiding, right? So like if there's been a huge multi-million-dollar exploit, then like anyone can go and see that and like take notes of that, right? I guess in like the traditional world, like or traditional Web2 or whatever, like losses aren't immediately apparent when they happen. It'll mean like a company has to disclose, or like something like that. But yeah, I do get kind of frustrated with people who say, this is just for scammers. It is just like everything else, where that will be used by malicious actors. I think it's very kind of disingenuous to say that this is just for scammers, because there are a lot of honest people who genuinely believe that a decentralized world is better for humanity than a centralized world.
And I know that you spend a lot of time also educating other people about how to get into the industry. So where can people get in touch with you? Where can they get access to some of the insights that you're providing? what information could you share with us?
Yeah, sure. So the best ways to like find me is on LinkedIn and Twitter. So Joe G, you're able to find me, and on Twitter I go by iTypeFine. And yeah, if you have any kind of like questions on like hack scams, exploits, whatever, I'm happy to answer. I also write Substack articles, which are mainly aimed for people who would like to kind of like do this like blockchain sleuthing, but don't really know where to start. And I kind of like show you how you can use traditional concepts in like the intelligence world and apply them to, a problem like an exploit, and how you can use those to, like get valuable insights into what's happened. So they're my, that's how you can find me.
Perfect. And I'll be sure to include those links in the description, Joe. Thanks so much for coming on. It was extremely insightful. It was a good refresher for me, and I work in cybersecurity. So I can only imagine that for a lot of the people out there that are looking to ape into some of these projects, I think that they definitely got a lot of value out of your tips, tricks, and just some things to be educated on and understand what kinds of malicious activity that could potentially happen out there, right? We're not necessarily saying don't go out and do, don't dabble in crypto. We're not saying that. We're just trying to make sure that everyone stays safe in the process. So thanks so much, Joe.
No problem. Thanks for having me.